Well, hey, this is Attorney Justin Lovey. We're live. Kind of went a little early. We're a little late because I'm sitting here jawing with everybody that comes up and talks to me. We're at Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson. Again, we're going live. It's October Fall Rally. I'm here with Chris Best, Biker Dad. As you know, we sponsor that show. It appears here locally on Fox at 9 a.m. And it's a really cool thing. We've been running for the last, I think, 2.5 years, right?
Pretty close to 3 years, yeah. You guys were, after Chris Klotz, I think the first people to sign on to work with me, so yeah.
How's Chris doing?
He's doing awesome. I think he's shopping for a new bike. He finally got rid of his little chopper that wasn't very comfortable.
He's about to, all his kids are about to go off to college, right? Because I've never seen them posted on social.
Yeah, they're off to college. One was in Australia for like a year or something like that,
Yeah.
so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, very cool, living the dream. He went to South Africa last year, maybe a year and a half ago, and he went hunting on like a big safari.
That's bucket list stuff right there. That would be awesome.
Cool. So how many markets are you in right now?
Well, with the NAML attorneys, about 10, but it's also on this network called Revin, which is it's all a bunch of low-power TV stations, but there are about 50 of them. So it's on a total 60, 70 TV stations across the country now.
That's very cool, man. And you're always on the road, right? I mean, you're running the road. We know you're coming here to Myrtle Beach. You're about to leave. You got to go back to, where you got to go back to?
I got to be in Alabama at 8 a.m. tomorrow for a huge rally in Orange Beach with Noel Leonard, another NAML attorney that's a good friend of mine that lives at home with me.
How big's that rally going to be?
Well, it's Let Freedom Roar is what it's called. It's a little bit political, which I don't really like to get into, but there's going to be a ton of bikers there. The last election year, they've been doing it for 4 years. The first time was 2020, and I think there were about 1,000 bikes and 500 Jeeps. And it's been smaller the years in between, but since it's election year again, we're expecting it to be about that big again. So could be as much as 1,000 bikes and 500 Jeeps, and just go down the beach highway there in Orange Beach, Alabama, take over the road for a couple of minutes, and then it's police escorted and all that stuff. The mayor and everybody's involved, so it's safe and friendly and all those things.
Did they get Orange Beach? Did they get hit by the hurricane at all?
No, we were on the clean side. So I live about 30 minutes north of Orange Beach. We were on the clean side of the hurricane, but it was about 2 hours to the east of it where it made landfall, I think, at 3 or 4. I actually drove through the Big Bend area the day after, and the only problems I really saw were trees down and power out. I know that there was some damage and flooding and stuff in Florida. I don't know the extent because I've been on the road basically ever since then. I do know it's really weird that that it made landfall there at 4, and the impact wasn't nearly what it was like just north of here in North Carolina, where we have entire towns just wiped off the face of the earth, and it has actually impacted not only the attendance here, but the tone and like people.
Very solemn. It's like a solemn tone this whole week. It's kind of eerie, but yeah, it's because they can't. I mean, normally we're getting Tennessee guys, we're getting Virginia people, West Virginia, and they simply can't get down here. And then a lot of our local riders, all this week, they've been loading up trucks to go back in and help. So it's very, very eerie here. There's not a lot of people, not a lot of vendors. I mean, it's still a fun time to come down. So if you got an opportunity this week, got perfect weather, come on down. You can see us. We're at our booth here at Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson all week. We'll be down at Beaver Bar, but. And then we got actually our firm, we're helping go take our truckload up there after this. That's weekend.
Awesome.
So the bad part is everybody's going up there and they can't even get the supplies in. So, I mean, all those roads are washed out. If it's a lot of rural areas, right? Because it's up in Appalachian. Our friends in Asheville, oh my God, man.
Yeah, that place is not doing well. And yeah, there are bikers that I'm friends with who've been showing me this effort they've been supporting, which is veterans and helicopters going and dropping food off in helicopters and even rescuing people. I saw one story that's kind of unbelievable that they made this guy stop, and I was like, you know, maybe it's risky, but the person is going to die sitting there. So that's kind of crazy. But I've seen bikers donating money to that cause, and that's what always happens. There's tons of stuff going on here where people are collecting supplies, where they are going up there to help. Like you said, people who live here who normally be at the rally are up there trying to help. And our friend Dustin, the horse slayer, he went yesterday to 2 stores and bought about $3,000 worth of supplies and took them to where they're doing the drop off in North Myrtle Beach. And yesterday I had met this smoking barbecue, Carolina Smokers barbecue over at the Beaver Bar. Morgan, your brand ambassador, told me about it. They're here from North Carolina, and their house was damaged. their restaurant was pretty much everything in it was destroyed. The building itself is fine, but all their food was destroyed. All of the equipment was destroyed, and they stayed down here basically kind of living out of their food truck, and they're planning on, even though their house is messed up, and he's downplayed it to me because he told people that his house is destroyed, and he's worried about other people. He is not going to go home and worry about his house after he's done here. He's taking the money that he makes here, and he's going to go up there and cook for people who are trying to help other people, and people who can't get. All they've been eating is ham sandwiches for the last week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's just crazy. He's not thinking about his own house and and he's thinking about his 42 employees at his restaurant that he wants to get back to work. And Dustin went over there and bought some nachos and paid $2,000 for them. That guy's going to take that money and go feed people with it, and that's just awesome.
What's the name of their food truck? Let's give them a shout out. If anybody's watching this, go down to the Beaver Bar and help these people.
It's Carolina Smokers, is what I think it's called. Yeah. That's close enough. It's the only barbecue place out there that has. He actually is smoking food there, so just follow your nose.
Yeah, follow
it smells fantastic. Yeah. And I lived in Texas for 8 years, so I'm a snob about brisket. I've lived in all of the barbecue capitals except for North Carolina, and I will usually not eat brisket east of Texarkana. And that stuff was fantastic. Yeah. And he's smoking it right there at the Beaver Bar. And like I said, you can almost smell it from here. Just follow your nose.
Well, the one thing about catastrophes, I mean, all this crazy stuff that's going on in our world, I mean, the good thing is everybody's coming together. Right?
Yeah.
It's one thing, especially in the biker community, everybody can come together. They're going to help each other. They're going to abandon a rally that they've probably been saving up all year for to make this their vacation. And they're going to go dig in and help these people out in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's spending the money that they would have spent on T-shirts and food here and going to give it to other people. It's pretty awesome. It's what bikers do. It's what you guys are involved with events like that all year round, and I know that's one of the reasons you like doing this stuff is because you get the opportunity to help people, and that's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And we do. We have our internal lovely law firm programs that we do, but we also will partner with writing groups and their causes, their organizations, and we love helping out with that stuff. Get my staff out of the office, let them get away from getting yelled at by me. That's my joke. I don't really yell at them. Yelled at by me to push files forward, and they got to go give back to the community, and they love doing that. So when you leave here, are you going to go straight to Alabama? Or
yeah, I'm hammered down. It's about an 11-hour drive. That's why
you go through Atlanta, or how do you?
I usually go through Atlanta, and I tried to stop and see Michael Moby, he's a NAML lawyer there, but just didn't time out this time. But I like to say this rally I've gotten here by pretty much every mode of transportation that you can. The first time I came here, if you remember, I had to be in Dallas, Texas the next day.
Yeah.
So I had to fly here, and I rented a motorcycle. So I did that first. I've ridden a bike here all the way here from Alabama. I've trailered a bike from Alabama, and then this time I put my bike in the back of my pickup and drove it here from Alabama. So I've done it every way. People like to give people crap about trailering or whatever, or not riding it here. But you just got to get where you're going, however it is that you're comfortable with doing. Ride your own ride and don't listen to that stuff. But I would prefer to ride. I hate strapping bikes down. Trailers make my sphincter clench up the whole time, swaying back and forth back there. That's why I learned just throwing it in the back of my truck is like the easiest thing to do, but I can't put my big bikes back there. And then, like with me, logistically, the last couple of months have just been nuts. I've been everywhere from Seattle to
How'd you do Seattle? Did you ride to Seattle?
No, I had to fly there, and my brother lives there, and he has several motorcycles, so I just rode one of his. But I'm going to be working directly, like with you, with Janelle Bailey, Washington injury lawyer up there. So I'm gonna buy a cheap bike and leave it up there because it's just that's 3 times farther away from here, and it's just not feasible most of the time. We have a schedule like this. So there's a Harley dealer called Destination Harley-Davidson up there that I could tell you about this a little bit more in a minute too, that I'm going to launch a fundraiser from in July. So they're going to find me an old bike that they take in and trade in, give me for a couple $1,000. I'm just going to keep it there because they're like 15 minutes from the airport, so I can just Uber over there, pick up my bike and go. My brother lives out there, but he is way too anal about his motorcycles. He has these $50,000 motorcycles, and if I go too fast, he gets on me. I go too slow, he gets on me. If I look at it wrong, it's a drop of rain on it. And I'm like, dude, I ride my shit. So that's what I'm doing. Man. Yeah, so I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to buy my own
What was
bike.
that event that they had up there?
They have this thing called the Oyster Run, and it was started like 40 years ago, I think, just like 4 buddies decided to ride over to this tiny town called Anacortes, Washington. It's on the Kitsap Peninsula. I mean, basically from here to the water is Canada. Like, we're just really a few blocks from the beach. Take a ferry ride over to Victoria from there. They just went and decided to go get some oysters, and then they started to say, let's do this every year. And it just grew and grew and grew, and now as many as 12 or 15,000 bikes show up every year. All they do is ride there, hang out for like 4 hours, and then go home, which is kind of cool. It's to see that many people with something that's just like 8 hours. And
what kind of bike? Is it a bunch of different bikes?
Yeah, it's mainly Harleys, but there's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Triumph sport bikes, ton of sport bikes. And Seattle is a diverse place, so it's kind of a diverse thing. And it's just, if you've never been out there, it's a gorgeous part of the country. I grew up north of Seattle, and the city now is a hellhole. It's crap. There's just people doing heroin laying in the streets everywhere. But when you get out of the
city limits, 100%.
You go out to the peninsula, you ride a ferry. And one of the really cool things out there is they have these big ferries as part of the commute every day, because they have places where they don't have bridges, and there'll be hundreds of cars on these giant ferries. But if you're on a motorcycle, you get like VIP. You get on first. You park your bike in the front. You're like Titanic out in the front of I'm the king of the world right on your motorcycle, and it's just breathtakingly gorgeous. People, all they think about the Seattle area is rain, but in like July, August, September, it doesn't rain much. In fact, lots of times that's when they have fire season, but it's a good time to go out there and ride. It's 70, 80 degrees.
Nice.
Just perfect and beautiful, and the scenery is just, it's breathtaking. You can't describe it. You can be on a rocky beach looking at killer whales at 1 minute, and then 45 minutes be 6,000 feet up in Snoqualmie Pass, looking at bears and smelling things that smell like Sasquatch up there. I've been out there in the woods by myself going, it smells like there's like 800 wet dogs. I'm like,
time to turn around.
I think Bigfoot is out here and he's looking at me somewhere.
That's funny, man.
But just the change in scenery, and like here is beautiful. You have the piney woods and the beach and stuff, but it's limited. There's like 2 or 3 things. There, it's like every landscape you could think of. You go over the mountains. It's desert on the other side. It's just awesome. I couldn't live there anymore because it's too much of a crazy s-hole with the politics and the people and all the issues that they have. But
a lot different than South Carolina, 100%. Right?
Exact opposite of South Carolina when it comes to those things, except for the bikers.
Right.
Especially the Harley crowd are just like they are here. Yeah. Just imagine being the Harley crowd here and having to live up there, how frustrating it is to live in that environment. But then to have all of these people come together on the same day who are like you and think like you, because you live in a world where everybody thinks the opposite of you.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool thing to see. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. So where's Janelle's practice up there? Is she in Seattle proper, or where?
She's in a beautiful little town called Issaquah. It's pretty close to Seattle, but it's right in there. She actually bought the entire state from NAML, so she's statewide.
She's smart. I had some other friends up there who practice in Seattle. I've told them they need to get on board with this stuff, because and they would say, well, it's raining all the time. There's not a big motorcycle market. I go, trust me, there's a huge motorcycle market up there. And then you've also got snowmobiles in the winter.
Yeah.
You got side-by-sides, ATVs, and all these people need legal representation when they're hurt.
Dirt bikes are big out there. There's dirt bike parks. People can get hurt at those. And I mean, it rains, but people ride in the rain. I ride in the rain. There are people out there who don't own cars. They just ride motorcycles. They don't care. But it's never really cold, and it's never really hot. So the rain gets canceled out by that. Here it's 180 balls degrees sometimes, and the same with Alabama. You go up to New York State, and it's frozen for half the year. So it's actually a really moderate climate, and it's a great place. It's just a beautiful place to ride. And there are a lot of Harley dealers there, lots. It's one of the people I met was the owner of Destination Harley-Davidson, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, but there are very few family-owned dealerships and dealership groups in America anymore, probably 10, 15. And their family had owned 5 Harley dealerships. They started them in the 70s or something like that. And then they sold them off. Well, they bought a couple of them back. And so they have this little small family-owned group. And whenever I run into that, it's kind of a special story. They're like really humble blue collar people. I'm sure they have tons of money, but they're not like the corporate people who are running, and no offense to the dealership we're sitting at right now, but you know how that's just how it is.
Yeah,
it's just like the lovely law firm versus one of those giant billboard corporate people.
Right.
Like, you're real people, and when you have an issue with your bike or an issue with your case, you can get a hold of the real people and talk to them.
Right.
Unlike 1-800 biker crap or whatever you call out there. Yeah. It's kind of like that with the Harley dealers too. They tend to take care of you better. They tend to care about your business more. And I'm sponsored by some of those corporate Harley dealers, so I don't have any issues with them. It's just really cool to hear those stories of the families who really have hung on to it.
Yeah. There's less and less of that for sure in this world. Again, I'm Justin Lovely here at Lovely Law Firm, MyrtleBeachBikerLawyer.com. We're going live. I'm here with Chris Best, Biker Dad. We sponsor his show here locally. It's on Fox 9 a.m. Every Saturday. So when you're waking up, drinking your coffee, getting ready for your college football, watch our show, because he does a lot of cool stuff. Not only here about helping our organizations and stuff we've got going on the beach, but all over the United States. So we've got NAML members. I was a founder and the past president of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Chris came on. He's kind of helped us with our social media, with our outreach, and we got a lot of new members all across the United States. And kind of what we do is we say, hey, what's working in your market, and as far as helping bikers, because things like we just mentioned, Janelle, things in Seattle, she might give me a tip that I can add value to my clients here in Myrtle Beach, and vice versa. So it's really cool. We get to meet everybody. And Chris, you've helped us because you're riding the roads. You're seeing everything, grassroots, boots on the ground.
Yeah.
All across, full schedule every day of the week. Who else? Who's our latest, besides Janelle, who's our newest member, I guess we got?
There are a couple. Eric Blank in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And then Noel Leonard in Alabama's pretty new.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a funny story, because way before I started doing this as a business, Noel and I ran into each other at an event. He saw my patch. He goes, I'm a biker dad too. Both of my kids ride. Well, I was at this Chinese restaurant with my wife for her lunch break, and I see this post. I'd forgotten all about him. I saw this ad over the toilet that said biker lawyer. I'm like, who's this guy? So I just called him, and he goes, yeah, I know you. We met, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you need to join NAML. And he did, and he's having some real success at it, and people are really digging what he's doing down there. He's getting really involved in events and things like that.
He's a real smart, sharp lawyer. Yeah. He's so smart. I talked to him when I was out in Vegas. I interviewed him, and we were talking afterwards. I'm like, this dude knows what's going on. So, and the key to that too is, a lot of like right now we're at a rally, and we're very a touristy destination here with Myrtle Beach. While we are growing, fastest growing county in South Carolina, by the way.
Which you can tell by the traffic.
You can tell by the traffic, but we still have a lot of tourists, and so and they may fall here where I can help them, or they'll meet us here. They go back to Alabama, they go to Seattle, they go to Las Vegas, but then they're calling us, and guess what? I have a network where I make sure they're taken care of. So that's an awesome thing about NAML that we love to get together and do.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I know that no matter where in the country, if somebody calls me and they need help, we can find somebody, even if there's not a NAML member there yet. Somebody in Nebraska that can help out, and then a lot of times when that happens, we bring those people on board too, because they're like, okay, yeah, I see how this works. And one of the reasons people really love Noel is because he actually rides. He has several motorcycles. His first life was to be a rock star. He's a guitar player, and when he was about 37 and realized he wasn't going to be Mick Jagger, he went to law school. And so that's pretty cool. So he's all tatted up, and he's like, he's kind of like me, ride the fence with a tie one day and tattoos and motorcycles the next. And people just appreciate that he's real about it, and that's authenticity is a huge deal with this crowd, and that's how I always am. I'm like, look, I'm not Billy Badass biker or stereotypical, Black Widows from the 70s movies and stuff, but I'm also but I do ride the hell out of motorcycles, and I know the community. But I also am really educated and spend a lot of time in the business world, which is how I was able to, put the two together finally, like peanut butter and chocolate, and do this for a living. And he's like that too. He's like, he knows his stuff when it comes to the law. He also rides bikes and hangs out with us, so it's really cool.
Is that whole area, Orange Beach and the Panhandle, that's blowing up too, right?
Oh yeah.
I've heard a lot of my friends out there saying it's just like we're having this growth.
It's crazy, the good and the bad. I mean, my house is like tripled in value since I bought it in 2017, and but so my taxes, so there's that, and my insurance. But you know, it's like here where it's growing so fast, it's hard to keep up with the traffic and all those things. So there's a lot of accidents that involve like just too much traffic, people not paying attention, tourists who don't know where they're going, who decide to make a sudden U-turn or a left turn in front of a bike, and all of those things that happen. And it's kind of strange to me because, like in Alabama, I'm sure there's people here too. The old school people are like, they're tearing out our countryside. There used to be a cornfield there, and now there's a subdivision, blah blah blah. And I was saying, where did you come from? Like, most of them didn't live there either. Yeah. I'm like, you moved here from California, and your house used to be a cornfield too. So when you tear your house down and sleep in the cotton patch, then we can talk.
Right. I mean, that's the same here in Myrtle Beach. To find somebody who's a real Horry County local is very, very rare. That's one of the reasons I hired Morgan, because she's born and raised here for sure.
She's awesome.
Yeah. And I've been here since 2009. I came from Knoxville, Tennessee. Amy, my wife, came from Thomasville. Hold up, they're getting them started back here. They're installing custom audio behind us. They're testing it out. Awesome. Come down Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson, you hear it live in person. But no, everybody's very transient here, and but after a while, like, people ask me now, where are you from? I'll say Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
I'll say, depends on where I'm at. Sometimes I'll say I'm from Knoxville.
People are like that. People ask me that too, and because of my TV news career, I've moved so many times. I'm just like, I'm not really from anywhere anymore. It's kind of a weird thing in Mobile. It's like a southern, like old money kind of thing, where if you're at a certain event and somebody comes up to you and goes, so y'all originally from Mobile? I'm like, that's a passive aggressive way of you letting me know that you got a bunch of money and I don't, and you don't know who I am, so I'm not important enough. And I just say, bless your heart, and walk away.
I got you.
But most people are really nice about it.
What about that port strike? Y'all dealing with any of that stuff down there?
Yeah.
You got Mobile down there?
Mobile and New Orleans is just a couple hours away. So Mobile, people don't realize, it's not a huge city, but it's one of the busiest ports in the world. And obviously New Orleans is too. And, you know, all of our stuff comes from there. And in Mobile, the big thing is they've got Hyundai and Kia manufacturers in Alabama. And then the ones that the cars from like Tennessee and stuff will come through that port going out, or they'll be coming from to in. It's one of the biggest spots for automobiles coming in and out of the country. And obviously everybody got freaked out about toilet paper and water and went and bought it like it was hurricane.
I got on Amazon.
COVID.
I was like, 8 packs. Let's do it. You never know.
Yeah, I love the people you've never seen drink anything but Dr. Pepper for 5 years. All of a sudden need all of the water.
Yeah.
You're not drinking that anyway. I mean, like, what's the point? You're not going to fill your bathtub with it.
Yeah. I think they were saying they're getting close to settling that thing.
That's
the thing about a political year, man. They're going to make every damn thing political. It's ridiculous.
So what they did is they just postponed it until January 15th. So they have a tentative agreement, but just like you said, there's an election in a few weeks. So that's the real reason it's been paused, because not to like get conspiracy theory or show any of my own political beliefs, but the unions obviously lean one way, and they don't want that way to look bad.
Right. Duh. Well, there was an article this morning in the paper of it was like, I guess they did a flyover at Port of Charleston, and all those boats are just anchored out. They're just waiting for them to open back up so they can push it through.
Yeah, I'm sure back in Mobile, because Mobile Bay is a pretty big body of water, and the port's in the bay. The Mobile Bay is actually like about that deep average. So back in the day, they would just have a horse draw a ferry across it. You could walk across it now, except for the shipping channel. So the shipping channel is like 1 or 2 ships wide, and so I imagine if I were back there right now, there's boats backed up all the way almost to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, because it's a busy port, and it's just a shallow place of water.
Yeah, they dredged Charleston, I think, maybe 5-10 years. I can't remember. 5-10 years ago, they made it a super port. So I mean, that's just wild down there when you see it. They're just as fast as they can get them in and get them out.
Yeah, it's like a huge, like, you see that stuff lit up at night because they're going 24 hours a day. It's almost like beautiful in a weird way. And one of the cool things they do in Mobile is when they dredge all that stuff out, they go out to near Dauphin Island, and they put it out in the bay, and they've created these basically man-made islands out there. It's just this silt that they dig up and put out there. They call them Bird Island because you can watch, and there's just like thousands of birds covering these places, and there's a 200-year-old lighthouse that's not being used anymore that's out there.
So that's cool. So when they did to Charleston, they when you get past Fort Sumter out there where they dredged it, they dumped it outside of Morris Island. So if you ever get a chance to go down there, same thing when it storms, so they put all that dredge material. Amy goes down there, she'll look for shark's teeth. There'll be like old Civil War cannonballs and pistol stuff. I mean, it's crazy. We'll have old pottery.
That's awesome.
I found like a 200-year-old wasn't whiskey. It was like a medicine bottle.
Oh, cool.
It was broken, but I had the label. It was pretty real cool. We go down there and do that maybe once or twice a year. We'll wait till a good storm comes out there, and you go down there, you see some dolphins, beach the boat, and then you got to walk a mile. But there's all this material that washes.
That's awesome. My wife would love that. So you and I have been talking about maybe putting the show on in Charleston as well, and she wants to go there because of that stupid Southern Charm show. And I'm like, if I can get her to meet Shep, she'll be like, I'll be her favorite. Well, if she comes home, because she might stay with Shep. I don't know, but my friend Smiley, who lives down there, says he actually knows some of those guys, so he's gonna introduce me to them. So, and now you're talking about the shark's teeth and stuff. A lot of people who aren't from Myrtle Beach and haven't been here don't know that you can walk down the beach here and find shark's teeth everywhere. Just sitting on the. There's tricks to doing it. I did a video about it a couple years ago.
Now I can't find them, but I can stand right next to my wife Amy, and she'll find 100. I'm like, what? I don't even see them. But she's like dialed in to see that stuff.
It's hard.
Good size ones too. I mean,
it's hard to figure out the difference between it and like the shale. And then you just learn that you can't break a shark's tooth. Anything that looks like one, if you break it, it's not a shark's tooth.
Yeah.
So I found a couple last year and took them home to my daughter. She loved it.
Cool, so again, we're here with Chris Best, biker dad, Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson. It's Friday morning. It's starting to pick up here. If you're looking to come on down and see us here at the rally. We're here all week, and we're also down at the Beaver Bar on the south end. We're there at night. I'll sponsor the bands down there. They're having a good time. Leslie, as always, has put together some awesome vendors, and it's going to be a great weekend here. Good weather, so come on down. So, Chris, going back to NAML, and you work with a lot of us. Not everyone's on the show. Maybe they are. Is everybody on the show yet?
No.
Yeah, well, some are. And accident scene management is a big thing that we push, and we leverage your show to kind of get the word out here. And I've trained locally hundreds and hundreds of local riders here, which I'm very, very proud of. We've got a next 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, Vicky Sanfilippo is coming down here herself. We're doing an advanced training. Yeah. So basically I'm retraining, and we're doing some simulations out in the parking lot for those who have already taken my primer course. And we pay for this 100%. Lovely Law Firm sponsors this because I want everybody to be educated, know how to save a life before you ever need to call me, right? And so we can cut down on all this. And it's very, very important. Our associate, Sarah Austin, her dad was in a wreck. And he was riding with one of his friends who was a lifelong firefighter, and he froze up, didn't know what to do. And it's not that he didn't have the training, it's that he hasn't had a refresher since he retired, 20 years ago.
Well, a lot of the firefighters, I mean, I don't know about here, but a lot of them are trained improperly too on this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like my friend just went to firefighter school in Mobile, and he's a firefighter now, but he did the ASM training before he ever went to the EMT school, and he was like, they're not teaching us the right stuff. So I'm actually talking to the fire chief there about getting on our training as part of their training instead of what they're doing now.
And that's something that Vicky will do. She'll come in and she'll do first responders, policemen, anybody who wants to do that, because they need continuing education. And she has a centralized course that gives them their continuing education hours. And it's specific on what you just said, helmet removal, jaw thrust, securing the scene. Because when they go through this, they're taught the basics, and they may only get, 10, 15 minutes of how to remove a helmet. And so when they roll up on a damn accident, they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
And then everybody in the world will tell you never remove the helmet. Well, if the guy's choking to death on his own vomit or blood, he's going to die. You got to take the helmet off. So do it the right way. Yeah. I mean, even if you don't know the right way, if he's choking to death, you need to get the helmet off somehow. But they teach you how to do that, which is amazing. And I will just tell you, I like to tell people this. This is how much I believe in what Vicky's doing. She's been doing it since 1997. You can't certify that she's a leading expert on how to deal with this stuff, but she is.
Yeah.
So I've talked to NAML lawyers who are talking about sponsoring my show and spending money with me, and I need it. It's my business. I need to pay my bills just like everybody else. If they aren't doing that class, I will say do that first. I don't care, because that's how much I believe in it. It's saving my friends' lives. It's making our roads safer. I will take a hit for a minute. And then when you work with Vicky, you'll see, hopefully you'll see a little more credibility in me, because I tell you to go do that first. Yeah. It's that important. And, it's not why you do it, but business-wise, you can attest to this. Almost every one of those classes you're eventually going to get a case out of, because sadly about a third of the people who take the class are going to use the training. And so the lawyers who do that not only are helping the community, but smart, because they're eventually going to get a client out of it, almost positively going to get a client out of it. So Janelle, our new member in Seattle, I was up there meeting with her. I spent a bunch of money to get up there on my own to hang out with her and stuff, and she reimbursed me. But I told her the same thing. I'm meeting with her about my show and my sponsorship, and I said, do this first. I don't care if you don't even work with me.
Yeah.
That's how impactful it is.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys spend thousands and thousands of dollars to do it, because it means a lot. I've told you this 100 times. It's one of the reasons I work with NAML attorneys and not others. And if I find an attorney or attorney approaches me to work with them and they're not NAML, I tell them to join NAML first, and then I tell them to do that before they start working with me, because these are groups that are trying to make the world safer for me and my friends, and that's awesome.
We sponsor this local. We're at Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson. We sponsor the Hog chapter here. We're a big sponsor of them, and I think I've trained pretty much all their active members, and monthly we'll get some stragglers of the new members that come in. But they just went on a weekend ride right after my training. They were going up to Shallotte or Southport area, which is just right over the border here. It's a common ride to go up there, ride the ferry.
There's another Harley dealer up there.
Yep. And somebody ran off the road, and luckily they were all there. They had just been trained, and he got him to the hospital. But the next class I had, that was the first thing they said, Justin, I just want to tell you, thanks for sponsoring that training, because without that, we don't know how it would have went. Because you got to remember this too. How long is it going to take for an ambulance to even get there?
Yeah.
Right. And if they get there, how long is it going to take to get them to an ER, to get them to a trauma unit? In Myrtle Beach, there's only one trauma team, and that's at Grand Strong. Yeah. So if you're up in like Shallotte, they either got to get you to Wilmington, or they got to get you back down to Myrtle Beach. So having that quick response training, ready to take care of your loved one, and I always tell people, don't, just like insurance, don't do it for yourself, do it for your wife and your kids and your fellow rider. So we love doing that, man. I even sponsor them up in, we help ABATE. We're a sponsor of ABATE here over in Columbia, and
awesome.
They help, up in Greenville, the Greenville markets and Columbia markets. While I'll take a case statewide, I'm not really in there a lot. Yeah. But any rider that comes to us, Vicky will call me. I'll say, hey, we'll sponsor it. Let's do it. And we provide breakfast for you. It's 100% cost of the Lovely Law Firm. I pay for everything. We get a room for you, do a little breakfast and a lunch for you, so you get some food out of it. And it's all day long class, 8 a.m. to about 4, about how long it takes. But it's life saving. It's the best investment you can make. It's just time. Yeah. So please go out and do it, and come out to our website, myrtlebeachbikerlawyer.com. Reach out to Morgan at justiceslovely.com, or call Shelly at justiceslovely.com, and we can get you a schedule of our next classes. And also, we'll do a private class. If you have a group that you ride with, up to 20 people we can do at a time. And I'll rent the room. I'll do the same thing if you want to do it with your friend, with your riding groups. We love doing that. And then we just have these open classes to where everybody can join in.
And sometimes there's not enough people in the riding group, so you'll open it up to them too. I love hearing those stories. I mean, obviously I don't love to hear about people being in accidents, but I was attending a class for Jason Melton in St. Augustine, Florida a few months ago. And this guy told me that he'd been in the class before, but his wife didn't take the class, so they were there so his wife could take it. And there was a big reason for that. He had a really bad crash, and he used the training to talk his wife into how to help him and take care of him while he waited for the ambulance. So he was coaching her, even though he was badly injured, on how to get his helmet off and all this other stuff. And so he made it a point to come back and bring his wife for the training, and his whole club, which he's a member of the Latin American Motorcycle Association, LAMA. And so they were so happy that they had the training, and I did a video with them with testimonial. I'd love to do a story about the Hog chapter members you were just talking about next time I'm here, so that would be really cool. It's just great training, and Vicky's a great person, and this is all she does, but she does it because she cares. She was a nurse, and she was seeing people come into the hospital hurt, not getting the treatment on the scene that they needed, and so she developed this program, I think, since almost since I was in high school. She's been doing it. So
awesome. She was so she's been she actually she got in her RV. This is a kind of a funny story, I guess. She got in her RV, left Milwaukee, started hitting classes because she was going to work her classes down to do my class on the 19th. And then the hurricane hits, and she gets stuck in East Tennessee. And so now she's back. I think she's backtracking, making a new route, had to cancel some classes, and she's still working her way back to the beach to post up here and teach that advanced class.
Yeah, there are 2 other classes that I was supposed to go to in the past week. One was another one in St. Augustine. I had to cancel that, not only because of what happened in St. Augustine, but the trainer, her car got flooded or something. They couldn't get it. Oh, it was in the shop, and the shop got flooded, so her car got destroyed. And then actually I'm supposed to be in Augusta, Georgia today. Augusta, I came through here a few days ago. Still, the whole town's without power. There's trees everywhere. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of damage to homes, but like you couldn't go to the bathroom, you couldn't get gas. And then 20 miles to the east or 20 miles to the west, and you can. But the whole town of Augusta is pretty much shut down. So there was a class this morning at the Hog Chapter that we had to postpone too.
Yeah, there's so much of that being underreported, man. Again, our hearts go out to the North Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, still in Florida as well. We'll be helping, Lovely Law Firm will be helping bring some supplies to North Carolina and help some people kind of dig out up there in the Asheville area. So you've been doing this for 2.5 years. I know you've came down here several times. What's your favorite event that you've seen in the last, not your whole motorcycle career, but since the dawn of the Biker Dad show?
I love this rally. It does get to a point where you've kind of seen everything, but I love it because people know me now here, thanks to you. And people just run up to me from everywhere I've had people coming from Asheville down to Charleston who are like, just come up and recognize me, which I love. It's like Myrtle Beach is kind of like a second home to me at this point, so it's awesome because I've been here so many times. The Beaver Bar is where I'm always hanging out because of you, and Leslie's really nice to me. We could talk a little bit about this more in a minute, but I couldn't park my motorcycle at the Airbnb, and she just let me leave my motorcycle at the Beaver Bar all the time, the whole time I was here. As far as events that have just been awesome, Barber Vintage Motorcycle Festival, which is next weekend and just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and it is like motorcycle heaven there. It's insane. First of all, so Barber is this like dairy heir. So his family was the milk producer of all of Alabama and probably 5 other states, and he loved motorcycles, and he had a warehouse the size of a whole city block full of motorcycles and some vintage race cars. And then he decided he wanted to share that with everybody. So he bought 900 acres of what used to be a landfill and covered it with hills and a racetrack. Well, the center of it is this museum that is, I want to say, 5 stories tall and then a basement. Remember when you were a kid and you had those clear matchbox towers that you put your cars in and stack them up? It's like a real life thing of that. And it's 6,000 motorcycles, I think.
Wow.
And some of them belong to him, others are donated. Some people just put their bikes there on display. But it is there. I have video on my Facebook page. I'll share it again. But you go in the elevator and it's like you are going through one of those matchbox boxes. And just motorcycles all the way to the ceiling, hanging from the ceiling, every kind of motorcycle you think of, every brand, every era, dirt bikes, snowmobiles. It's just insane. And then, so like I said, it's 900 acres, and he's only got like half of it developed, so it's going to be even crazier. There's a Formula One racetrack on there. During Vintage Motorcycle Festival, you can ride your bike on the track. They have races going on the whole time. But it's interesting because unlike Myrtle Beach and the rallies that are like partying, this stops at 5 o'clock every day. It's a daytime thing. It's family friendly. There's a massive swap meet. I don't know how many hundreds of acres. They just have people selling parts and motorcycles and everything else. And it's just one of those places.
How long does it go for?
All good vibes. It's for the weekend, so it's like
so it's a weekend
to Sunday.
Okay.
And it's just one of those places where the weather's always nice because it's October, it's Alabama. It's not a billion degrees, and it's not, and the rainy season's kind of getting over. But
does Chris and Neil post up there?
They aren't. They are not yet, but I'm talking with them about it. I'm even talking with Michael Mobius about coming over from Atlanta.
Yeah, I've read about that in AMA magazine. I've always read about, they do a post story about all the cool stuff. I've never been able to make it out there.
It's just one of those places where it's all sunshiny. There's kids everywhere. Everybody's just happy, and it is too at Myrtle Beach too, and all the rallies. But people at some point are getting drunk and fighting, and there's car accidents. There's not any motorcycle crashes because people aren't riding around. They're just there for the day or the weekend or whatever. You see these guys ride in from 200 miles away on 90cc 1974 Hondas and stuff, and it's just there are several hundred acres where there's not a square inch where there's not a motorcycle sitting on it during that whole weekend. I just can't. You just have to look at the pictures or come because I can't even describe how.
Where do you stay if you want to go to that?
Well, there are a couple hotels right across the street.
What's the city though? I guess what's the Alabama?
The town is Bessemer, and it's about 30 miles east of Birmingham. Most people, I mean, there's not enough hotel rooms there, so most people go to Birmingham. The first time I went there, I rented this hotel with my friends who were going. And I'm cheap. I stay at cheap hotels, but we came up to this thing. I learned my lesson. This is a huge lesson I learned in this adventure that I've been on. Was we walked up there, and it was one of those. It was a motel, so all the doors are on the outside, and it's like cleaning time, and so all the doors are open. Again, like one of those Matchbox things, and all the doors are open. And the people cleaning the rooms looked like they just got off their 80-day meth bender. And I walked into the lobby and I was like, we need to cancel. I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be a confrontation. I was like, we need to cancel. There's no way we're staying here. And the guy looks at me and goes, you're right. This is not the place for you. And he just refunded us immediately. I didn't have to call Priceline or anything.
Yeah.
So, and a similar situation happened the first time I came here to Myrtle Beach. And so I've always found like Myrtle Beach I'm familiar with enough now. So if I'm going to a new place, I won't book a room unless it's like I know it's the nice Holiday Inn downtown Nashville or something. I will come here and then I'll go to the hotel and look at it and then book it online. And they get pissed off about that too. I did it in the hotel lobby here in Myrtle Beach once because you get a better deal.
Right.
And the guy who owns the hotel is sitting there like pissed at me because I'm using Priceline.
Yeah. And
he's looking at me doing it. So do it at the parking lot if you don't have a confrontation.
Well, hey, that's a good segue of tips. You know, if people come to these events, maybe you're a first timer coming to down here at Myrtle Beach Bike Week, or you're a first timer going to the antique
vintage motorcycle.
Wherever you're going, and you had another problem this time. Tell us about your story coming down here to Myrtle Beach this time.
Yeah, so I kind of booked the last minute, and I found this little Airbnb. It's like a fourplex right on the water in Merle's Inlet. It was cheap. It was like $200. I was like, okay, that's cool. I got my own little space. I know it's not going to be a Roach Motel. Well, I'm like halfway here, east of Atlanta somewhere, and my phone rings, and it's the Airbnb guy, and he's like, oh, I just realized I should ask you if you're bringing a motorcycle. And in the message when I booked it, I said, I'm coming from Myrtle Beach Bike Week. I said, I'm a biker, but I'm not there to party. I'm there to work with the lovely law firm, and I'm not going to be ruining your condo and partying hard. I'm going to be working. I'll be there like 3 or 4 hours a day sleeping. And so they approved it because you got an Airbnb, they can approve it or deny you. I'm like 6 hours into my 10-hour drive to get here, and he's like, well, I forgot to ask you if you have a motorcycle because we don't allow motorcycles. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, he's like, we're going to have to cancel. I said, no, we're not. I just won't bring my motorcycles to the back of my truck. I'll find somewhere else to leave it. And I was like, is this like a neighborhood covenant or something? And he said yes, but that was complete bullshit. As I got there, it's no neighborhood. They just don't like motorcycles. They don't want the noise coming in there.
Yeah.
So it was 3 miles from the Beaver Bar, and I have a little hack where there's this ditch right across the street from the Beaver Bar. When I got to bring a bike in the truck, I can back my tailgate right up to that ditch and then put my ramp, and so I don't have to gap like 6 inches and get it out of there. It's almost like it's not even on a trailer or my truck. And then I just took it over to the Beaver Bar, and Leslie dozed me because of you, and she was on her perch there in her rocking chair where she hangs out. And I just assume that drunk people leave their bikes there all the time, but I want to be polite, especially since I'm there representing you. I'm wearing your t-shirt. And I said, Leslie, I don't know if you remember who I am. Oh yeah, I remember who you are. Definitely. I was like, do you care if I leave my bike here? She's like, no, you can put it wherever you want. And so I left it there and just drove my truck back and forth from the Airbnb. But normally what I will say in those situations is no motorcycles or whatever,
right.
Which I don't even understand how they can tell you no motorcycle. They can understand why they tell you there's not room for a trailer or there's not room for an RV. But telling you that you can't have a motorcycle there is just an asshole move that has something to do with they don't like bikers. They don't like it. Because I'll never stay there again, just because even though I've figured out a way to work it out, excuse my language, but fuck you. Because, so
it's a pain in the ass.
If you're worried, if they were worried about the noise, then that's what I figured. So.
Well, that's a tip. I mean, when you're going to a new location and you're going to use Airbnb, at least make sure you're very, very clear before you book it, so you don't get stuck. Because it could have gone south. We've had clients that come down and they're texting us last minute. Same kind of situation. They told them they had a trailer, and then they realized it's a motorcycle trailer. Then why do you think they're coming down here for bike week?
Yeah, it's bike week.
Anyway,
I literally put in there, I'm coming for bike week.
Yeah, well, we'll let them park their trailer, because trailer parking too is at a premium here. You can't have a place to drop it, so we'll let them put them in at our office. No problem.
Yeah, and I've done that before too. And once I stayed at an Airbnb, and there was a grocery store there, and we dropped our trailer there, and had no problem the entire time it sat there. You could put it at Walmart. They normally don't care. Love's truck stops now have places just for that, so you can drop them there if you need to. But yeah, be clear with them, and especially if you have a trailer. Like you really need to make sure you got a place to park that trailer if you're bringing it.
Try to plan in advance as best you possibly can, so you're not you're planning and not planning to failing to plan, or you're planning to fail. One of the two.
Yeah. And that, you could really get in a predicament if that's the case. But I know my way around here enough. I know the tricks and what to do. Like I said, I have that ditch in front of the beaver bar, which is where I unload my bikes. So I know what to do with that. And then, one of the things is just to know where you're going and know the environment. But one of the things about this Airbnb, and I know the guy's not watching because he doesn't like motorcycles, so I have my truck here, and I've got this crazy, the same kind of stereo I had in high school when I got my truck. I said, screw it, I'm putting some kickers and woofers and everything in there. So I just, when I pulled up to the Airbnb at like 12:30 the first night, because I was a little annoyed that I was having to do that, I had Pantera turned on 20, and I took my sweet ass time getting out of my truck and get my stuff loaded. So about 12:30 in the morning, instead of hearing the nice rumble of my motorcycle come and shut off, you got to listen to Cowboys from Hell for about 10 minutes. So that was my little payback. Yeah. And they didn't say anything about it, so I guess it was okay. And one of the other things about we were talking off camera about was the restaurants here, and specifically pancake houses.
Oh yeah.
Which is like a southern thing, but not in my part of the South.
It's my favorite thing about living at the beach, especially now when the tourist season kind of winds down, because there's no lines. We get in there, but yeah, there's family pancake houses all up and down the coast. Probably every 2 or 3 blocks, you're going to find an eggs up grill, a local pancake house. Of course, you got the corporate ones, Waffle House and Huddle House and stuff like that. But we love it.
Yeah,
we love it. Every weekend we're going.
Food is great, and so it's a southern thing, but it's this latitude of the South. So basically, from Myrtle Beach up to maybe North Carolina, and then over to East Tennessee. Like even if when you get west of Gatlinburg, it's not there anymore, or south of Myrtle Beach. So it's they're pancake houses. So that's they
6 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's it.
Yeah, it's like IHOP but better. It's not 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
But there are so many of them. You're like, which one do I go to? And so there's 2 ways to find out. One is obvious, ask the locals. But even sometimes the locals are like the trash, so you might hit the wrong one. But if you're riding up and down the beach road here and you're trying to find a pancake house, if there's not 10 motorcycles parked in front of it, it's the wrong one.
Right.
And if there are 10 motorcycles there, it's the right one. Because a lot of these guys, I've talked to people who've been coming here as groups for like 20 years, every rally, fall and spring. They know where the food is.
Yeah.
And not just the pancake houses, but that's like the thing that you're going to see everywhere, that and seafood.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the seafood.
Yeah, you get the buffets, man.
Yeah.
Get your crab legs.
And see which ones are out there. What's funny about the crab legs, and it's the same thing in Alabama, is they don't have those crabs here. They come from freaking Alaska.
Yeah,
They're frozen and shipped here. Yeah. People will be coming to Orange Beach, and on the Orange Beach pages it'll say, where can I get crab legs? And I'm like, Red Lobster.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You want to come here, eat the fresh local stuff. Like in Alabama, it's the shrimp and it's crawfish.
Oh yeah, you got to go down to Myrtle's Inlet, hit the shrimp. That's where it's at.
Yeah, that Wicked Tuna place, I like that down there. But the buffets are great, and crab legs are good. I mean, they're awesome, even if they're frozen. Don't get me
Tourist
wrong.
trap though.
But I like to eat the local stuff because, crab legs are different because I even make them at home and frozen. They're really easy to make. It's really hard to screw them up.
Yeah.
You boil water, you throw them in there, you turn the water off in there, wait 10 minutes.
Get you some butter, drawn butter, you're ready to go.
So they're hard to screw up. But I like to get the local stuff, and there's different things in different parts of the country, and I always do like to say stop at the mom and pop places. My friend Tony Sawyer owns a restaurant in Mobile, and I went up to Nashville a couple weeks ago. We're doing this custom bike with this huge rock band called Red Clay Strays that are from Mobile. They had their first platinum album. They're good friends of mine. And I knew them when they were playing bars the size of your tent, and so we're building a bike and got him to autograph it and everything. And he's
nice.
And he was like, "Where's the best?" We stopped and was like, "Where's the best local place?" And they told us about this burger joint. It's like somewhere north of Birmingham. Second best burger I've ever had in my life. And I was like, "Yeah, this is the life, is eating stuff like that." And if you got to go through the drive-thru on your way here to go to McDonald's, that's fine. But when you get here,
eat local.
Captain Archie's up north is
good
an
spot.
awesome place. Good food right on the water, and they have some fresh local seafood and stuff.
Yeah, they used to do they may still do it. All you can eat flounder. So me and my father-in-law used to go there, tear that up. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah, I like the fish itself, like just fish. As most of my adult life before I was like 30, I lived in the Midwest. So other than catfish, it's all shipped in from somewhere else, and I just thought fish was ass. And then I moved to Mobile, and I had to go to this meeting with corporate people, and I wanted to look like an adult and not order the popcorn shrimp like a child.
Yeah.
And so I got the blackened fish, and I was like, holy shit, this is good.
Yeah.
And I realized it's because where I was eating it was flown in frozen somewhere, and I was eating the fresh,
right there,
the fish. So like here, like you're talking about flounder, in Washington State is salmon and trout, and Missouri you got to get the fresh farm-raised catfish. That is so good. And like if you go to Applebee's and order the fish, you will be like I was and be like, fish is the most disgusting thing in the world.
No, down here, man, redfish, flounder, the shrimp. That's my top three for sure. 100%.
And
go to Florida, get the mahi when they get it going.
Yeah.
It's probably the same over in Mobile. It's probably the redfish,
we have
redfish.
mahi, red snapper is a
snapper
deal.
Season, yeah.
And so snapper season is crazy down there. You get a charter and go out to one of the oil derricks and just yank them in.
Yeah.
And
how's that going? Is that coming back around there? Because they only have certain seasons now that they
they still do. It's coming back a lot. So what people go out there. You spend more time getting out there than it takes to get your limit. Like
that's how the fishing is here. I mean, you got to go 2 hours to get to the
You go 2 hours out to this oil derrick and just yank them all in. Everybody catches their limit in like 20 minutes.
And
then you ride back. So, and I'm sure it's the same way here. You have these experts who know exactly where to go, where you're going to hit the fish, and you got to do that, because if you don't, you're just going to be out there throwing your line in the water all day and not catch anything, which is what I do, which happens to me unless I go with a tour guide or whatever. But then the cool things about those is like they'll clean it right there on the boat for you and hand it to you. And there are a lot of places where you just walk into a restaurant and they'll cook it for you.
Oh yeah.
Like we went to Steenhatchee, Florida, which is in the Big Bend of Florida last year, and it's just scallops everywhere. So it's like you go out in the water to where it's like 4 to 10 feet deep, and then you snorkel, you dive down and just pick the scallops up off the ocean floor. And then when you come into the marina, there are guys there that just shucking like crazy, and it's like they're just making bank because they charge like $10 a pound, and they shuck a pound in like 30 seconds flat. And then you can just take it right inside, and they'll cook it for you right there, and just eat the scallops that you just collected like 20 minutes ago.
That's good eating right there, man.
And when I was food mistakes, don't eat tacos when you're anywhere near Canada. I made the mistake of eating brisket tacos in like Rochester, New York, where you could see Canada across the water. I'm like, why would I eat brisket in New York, and why would I eat tacos in New York? Worst decision I ever made. And it's like but they have this thing called trash plates in Rochester, which is just a bunch of crap that's not good for you, piled on top of stuff that you wouldn't think would go together. It's like hash browns and chili and Jello. I'm making the Jello part up. It's just they just throw everything on a plate and eat it. It's like 48,000 carbs per meal, and that stuff is insanely good, and they literally call it trash. So you just gotta get to the regional thing and learn. Well, actually, one of the things that I would like to do eventually, because I'd like to do different motorcycle shows when I could get this one to the point where I can just feel like I can show up, shoot stuff, and have a staff to put it together for me, is a thing called Ride to Eat, and just ride places and go.
That'll do really well.
And specific restaurants or areas and the food, like the Oyster Run in Seattle. The Oyster Run in Seattle that I just was at. You know, they have like the beer girls they have here, but they're walking around with oysters. And, you know, they're walking around the street with oysters on ice, and you give them a couple bucks and you take oyster shots basically instead of Jello shots. That was amazing. And I love oysters. They just make me sick to my stomach, so I don't really eat them very often. But
you could do that show in conjunction with this show.
Yeah. And I do.
That's a great idea.
I do some segments on it. Like I did a Ride to Eat segment on Archie's, and I did a Ride to Eat segment on Dagwood. But I could really see with like the right resources doing like a Guy Fieri that's not douchey kind of thing. And being there doing the food. And my friend Tony, who is a chef and a restaurant owner and a clown, it would be awesome to do it with, because I'd be like the straight guy and he's the one like acting like a nutcase.
I'm gonna give you my top 5 pancake houses before I forget. All right. Number 1's Eggs Up right here locally, and they're a little bit North Carolina. I'm gonna go Eggs Up. Number 2, I'm going to say Scrambler. Scrambler's a great one here. It's out in Carolina Forest. Awesome place. 3rd place I'd go is Drift out there at Grand Dunes. That's an awesome place. Blueberry Grill, also out there, Barefoot and Grand Dunes. And then the 5th place I'm going to say is a tie between Mimosas or Hot Stacks up in North Myrtle Beach. So as you can tell, I like eating my pancakes. My kids love doing it.
The Golden Nugget?
I've never done the Golden Nugget. Is it a good one?
And it's right Surfside, so it's like right around all the hot spots.
Ro Romero, he's there. Step into the frame real quick, Ro. Ro says, hey, honorable mention of Golden Nugget down in Surfside.
Hey, Golden Nugget's one of my favorite places in Vegas too, so hey, it works out.
There you go.
See, I really avoid carbs, and like I want to eat that stuff, and I could use it as an excuse that I'm traveling, so I have my travel times where it's like vacation and work, and that's when I let myself eat that stuff. Like when we came here a couple of years ago with my brother and like 5 of my friends, I'm like, okay, I'm here to work, but this is a vacation, so I'm gonna go eat the pancake house stuff, and it was awesome. There is you may know the name of it. It's more of a biscuit place. It's kind of off of the main road.
There's Millstone Biscuits down in Pauley's, which is good. There's Maple Street in down going past Market Common.
I think that's
probably
it.
There's also one up in Myrtle. I can't think of the name of it. I know what you're talking about.
It's just this like little hole-in-the-wall spot on the side of like a strip mall. There's a line going around the building because it's so good. I ate there last year. It was fantastic. And part of me wants to just like ride around the country and eat and do a whole thing about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Real Events Media, who's helping produce this live stream right now, he's got this thing called Videcast that he's starting, which is going to be awesome. He's going to go up and down the coast, and one of the things he's going to be hitting is just that. So he's kind of helping. So you should partner with him next time and go check out the Food Vibe. And you could do it in the morning. You can go have a seafood edition. You could do the buffet edition, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be great. So there you go. I just gave you some money-making tips. There you go. That's all I'll think when I start thinking about this.
And that brings me to another travel tip, is that Planet Fitness Black Card. Those people should be sending me money as much as I post about it. For one, if you're gonna eat like that, you still got to work out when you're on the road. And you know, I told you I was coming to the gym before I came here, so I do that. And the other hack about that is like I've worked with some motorcycle campgrounds, or I'll end up like on the road and have to sleep in my truck, or in my bike. I always have a tent. I might pitch a tent on the side of the road. You can go there and take a shower. Like it's $20 a month for my gym membership, and I use it all over the country.
Yeah.
And I've used it just as much just to go get a good shower.
Yeah.
You know, I stayed at Daytona Beach in this campground, and they had a shower, but it was like one of those communal trailer things. And no offense to my buddies out there, but a lot of you bikers I don't want to see naked. And so I was like, I'd sneak off of my
motorcycle. So spend the $20 a month. Moral of the story. Get you a Planet Fitness.
And Planet Fitness, if you're watching, I mean, we do have advertising space available on the TV show.
That's hilarious. This is Justin Lovely. We're here at MyrtleBeachBikerLawyer.com. We're at Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson. We're going live with Chris Best, Biker Dad. We sponsor the show locally on Fox, 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings. We're sitting here talking. We've been going for about an hour. We got a little bit more until he's got to hit the road and get back to Alabama. The weather is great out here, so if you haven't came down for this week, the crowds are picking up. It's going to be awesome. We're here at Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson. We're also down at the Beaver Bar on the south end. It shuts down here about 4 p.m. And then, of course, down at the Beaver Bar, that keeps rocking till 1, 2 in the morning. Leslie's got an awesome operation down there. Awesome bands, live music. Go down there and check it out. Stop by our booth and get some swag. We also are, again, sponsoring the NAML motorcycle giveaway.
Yep.
Michael Hull, one of our clients, and he's a local fish captain. He won our motorcycle last year. He got him a Husqvarna Super Moto Sport, and it was an awesome bike. We bought it from Redline last year. Hopefully we get another local rider this year to do it. Here with Chris Best. Going back to NAML, so we've got a California event. Like we've been doing a lot of stuff on the East Coast. We do some stuff in Vegas. We've kind of spreading our wings a little bit. We're going out to the West Coast, and we're going to switch from the Harley bikes that we've normally are teaching about and doing programs about, and we really want to teach people, hey, there's this whole genre of bikers who ride dirt bikes. I know I grew up on the dirt, and unfortunately I can't make this training, but let's talk about that training and that cool event that we're doing out there, because we're going to the BMW Training Center. People are going to be able to get in there, get some detailed trainings that we'll be able to come back, share the knowledge that we get, and it will help our local markets and our local riders as we can go and spread how we can add value and spread motorcycle safety in our ASM classes.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is most of the people who come to these rallies are Harley people, or maybe Indian, and they're pretty brand loyal. But I always like to say, and I'll be a little bit more clean about how I say it this time, is I'm kind of a promiscuous biker. I'll ride anything once.
Yeah.
And I love riding all kinds of bikes, and I have a dual sport Suzuki myself, so I like to go off the road. My daughter rides with me. There's a huge dirt bike park in our area that they're not a sponsor of the show, but since I do videos about them, they just let us have a free run of it, so we do that. But this is our first convention in Los Angeles. We always do one in Vegas every year, and then we kind of rotate the other ones. But we're going to be going to it's a BMW training ground outside of Los Angeles. They have hills and dirt and mountains, and one of the leading experts on off-road riding, adventure riding, runs it out there. And actually, he's going to be at Barber Vintage Motorcycle Festival next weekend, because they have a huge BMW event out there. And BMWs are fantastic bikes. Right now I have Harleys and dirt bikes, but I've ridden plenty of them. I rode the BMW R18 Bagger at NAML a couple years ago. Chris Klotz and I rented bikes and rode up Mount Charleston in the snow in Vegas, which was really cool. And BMWs are fantastic bikes, but this is an opportunity to get on one of those big adventure bikes, get on the pavement, get in the dirt. I'm a big fan of the Pan America Harley-Davidson. A lot of the old school Harley people hate that they're doing anything different, but it's
how's that selling for them?
Bike.
Is that going pretty good, or what?
Well, when they first started doing them, they were selling them faster than they could make them, but they weren't making a lot of them. But then the problems with the first generation started showing their heads, and so they kind of fell off. But I think they're doing pretty well now, better than like the electric bikes for sure.
Yeah.
And then and the 2024s they've got it dialed in. They're awesome bikes. They have a CVO version of it now, which is the top of the line Harley. Like if you buy the CVO Road Glide, it's a 131 engine. It's a $50,000 bike. The CVO Pan America is like 29 because the base model is like 20. It has really cool things, like it sets up high so there's clearance, but if you're shorter, when you stop, it has like an automatic air ride, so it comes down, so you put your feet on the ground when you stop, and we start going again, it raises back up, so you have the clearance of their dirt bike. They're 150 horsepower, so they're fast. They're faster than it's faster than the $50,000 CVO you pay to go fast on. But and I love them. Now there's a big controversy right now because Harley-Davidson said they would never, ever, 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 never, 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 ever, ever, ever build a motorcycle, or assemble it, I should say, overseas that they sell here, and they are building the two motorcycles with that engine in Taiwan. It's the Pan America and it's the Sportster S, which they don't make a Sportster anymore. They only make the Sportster S, which is more like a crotch rocket than a traditional Harley. And it's called the Revolution Max engine, which is it looks kind of weird because it looks kind of plasticky like an electric engine, but it's not. But it's actually the most powerful engine they're making right now. It's 150 horsepower. Then they govern it because of California rules or whatever. So if that Pan America wasn't governed, it'd probably do 200 miles an hour, same as a Sportster. And when your warranty's out, you can do whatever you want to make it go that fast. But there's this whole thing, you know, Harley had the whole woke thing a few months ago, and now they're dealing with the fact that they are moving. That may change after this election if one person wins over the other and puts those tariffs back in place. Yeah. And Harley will be forced to build those back in the United States. So if that's important to you, then you might want to think about that when you vote. So they've had some controversies over those things, but it's a fantastic bike. And I always tell people, bitch about it, go ride one and lie to me and tell me that you did not just like smile the whole time you were on that motorcycle. It's not. Electric bikes are the same way. Like neck snapping 2.5 seconds and 0 to 60, and you're gonna tell me that it's a piece of crap? No, it's fun.
Is he gonna have some of those Harleys out there at that training center, or is it all BMW?
It's all BMW.
All BMW, okay.
But the Pan America is what they did. Give Harley credit for is they basically haven't done an off-road bike. They had like a military dual sport in the 90s, probably the last one they did. But they just studied all of the best adventure bikes, the Africa Twin, the BMW bikes, and they just stole the best parts of all of those bikes and put them on the Pan America and just made the ultimate adventure bike. And it's a little bit pricier than most of those, but like
have you ever met Chris Smith, my photographer friend from Charleston, who rides the adventure trail?
I don't think
There's a South Carolina adventure trail. It's pretty sick. It goes from Charleston area, and it's trail, some road, some off-road, but there's all these different trails, different paths you can take all across South Carolina. He's got a riding group. He's got a YouTube channel. I'll have to get you his name.
Yeah,
so y'all can do some good content together.
Yeah, I would love to go do that.
But he's got a group of riders, and they meet up, and they camp, and they do the adventure trail. He's got some cool videos, man. I had him, Rainey did a podcast with him maybe a year ago.
Cool.
He does all my photography work down in Charleston.
I love getting in the dirt, and then when I test drove that new CVO Pan America, that was part of my thing. I was like, do not tell the dealership that I'm taking this out of the dirt. Because the Harley dealership in Mobile just changed management recently, and they would rope the CVO bikes off in the corner where you couldn't even get up. And I went in there one day, I was like, to do my videos, and I was like, so what do you want me to ride? And he was like, okay, if you want me to ride that CVO over there. I was like, what? I was like, I know they didn't let people test drive them before, and not even me. And I was like, hell yeah! And I just took that thing out. And then the same thing with the CVO Pan America. The CVO Road Glide ST to me, which just came out this year, is possibly the best motorcycle anybody's ever made, not just Harley-Davidson. So what's funny is the CVO, just the standard CVO, is more expensive and has less horsepower than the ST, so save $4,000 and go to the ST. Now there's some technology and stuff on the CVO that's different, that like audio is a big one, but for $4,000 you can upgrade the audio on that bike. So that my brother just bought one of those. It's awesome.
CVO go behind us.
Yeah. My brother just bought that exact same bike, so that's just the CVO, and it's awesome. It has all kinds. It has a 121, as you can see there. It's a fastest production Harley that they make right now. Well, the ST is actually faster, but the most technologically advanced one too. So if you're not technologically skilled, you might not want to buy that. My brother was cursing at the stereo the whole time I was there because he couldn't figure it out. So I might just pop mine on and go.
So there's. So you're going out to the California event. How many people are going out to that?
I think we have like 20 right now.
And then what's our next event after that?
The next one will be in Vegas in March, I think, is what we usually do, unless we change that up.
We're not going to go to the auction?
Yeah, that's when the auction is, I think.
In March? I thought it was in January.
I don't remember.
Just tell me when and where to be there. I don't know.
I love going to Vegas. Even when the convention isn't there, I stay at the Golden Nugget, just cheesy old school.
Yeah, that's fun.
Place.
That's like a lot more fun. Better gambling. You don't lose as much money. Cheaper limits, right? So you pay $20 to play blackjack. Play for $5.
Yeah, and then you just step out onto
to the freak show
to Fremont and see the freak show. Like, when you go to the Golden Nugget and you're like, oh yeah, this is cool, and then you go over to the Bellagio and you're like, yeah, this is Taj Mahal and that's like trailer park. But I just like it because you don't like those big expensive casinos are like 3 blocks from each other. You can't just wander around and check
it looks like it's
stuff.
Right there, and then you got to walk a mile.
It's crazy. And then
different experience. 100%.
Get an Uber. It's $80 to go 4 blocks.
Yeah.
So I like being on Fremont Street. I like going out and see the weirdos do whatever they're doing, and I won't get into conversation with who we always see hanging out in the slot machines right by the lobby. That's interesting and fun in its own way, just to experience that kind of stuff. And Vegas is an incredible place to ride. So I always try to plan an extra day out there for me and the NAML riders NAML bikers who ride, and we do a ride either up to Mount Charleston over Hoover Dam or all of it. It's just, it's, you know, we talked about my favorite event. Riding in the Vegas area is probably my favorite place I've ever ridden.
Vegas is awesome. I love it out there.
Yeah. You get out of the city. The Strip sucks on a motorcycle, but you get out of the city and you go over the mountains to Pahrump, which is where all the brothels are, and but it's just beautiful. And then there's like these roads that are straight forever, and you just hammer down and just go down. The first time I did that, we went to Joshua Tree National Forest, and there was this biker bar out in the middle of nowhere, like literally nothing for like 50 miles. And there's all these Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff parked there. And it turns out it's like exactly halfway to LA. It's where all the movie producers and Hollywood stars stopped to wet their whistles. And I didn't see anybody famous, but there were obviously big wigs in there.
Yeah.
And I think it's not Rock Hudson, it's like Clark Gable or something. Like that spot is where he died in a plane crash. Like across the street. So there's nothing else there. That's where the memorial is. And there's all this stuff about the plane crash that he died in. And you find weird stuff like that too. There's the turnpike in Kansas. So the way they do the turnpikes in Kansas is nothing. It's you're in the Flint Hills, they call it. And so they'll have like a McDonald's and a gas station in the middle of the turnpike. And I was stopped in one, and there's all this Newt Rockney, Notre Dame stuff everywhere. I'm like, why in the world is there a Newt Rockney museum next to the toilet in McDonald's in Flint Hills of Kansas? Same thing. That's the closest thing to where he died in a plane crash, and like several of the Notre Dame football teams. It's sad that they died, but it's been long enough. But it's just funny. You come out of the toilet at McDonald's, there's a Newt Rockney memorial. It's and the Leonard Skinner Memorial in Mississippi, out in the middle of the woods. It's like Stonehenge. You're in like nothing forever. And like the spot where they died, this farmer owns the land, put up this huge, beautiful memorial with all their faces etched in it and their stories and all this stuff. And it's in the woods, in the piney woods in Mississippi, and you kind of have to go like 20 miles off the interstate to get to it. And I was there, and this father and son come up on a motorcycle. Notice they have California plates. They rode all the way from Sacramento, California to see that thing on their motorcycle.
Wow.
Like this, just I love that stuff. Just finding that stuff on the road.
That's cool. I want to brag on myself a little bit. I think I know the answer to this, but if all the NAML lawyers that you know, this is some bragging rights, so I can tell everybody at
loaded question
at the next meeting. Of all the NAML lawyers you know, what's the largest recovery you've ever heard of through all our network?
I mean, it's kind of on the tip of my tongue. $15 million.
Yeah. Who got
that? Dustin and you.
Yeah. The lovely law firm. We're glad to do that. That's funny.
Look, it couldn't have happened to better people either. I mean, the tragedy part of it sucks, but. I told Dustin and his dad last night, I don't know how many times I told him, like, makes me so happy to see them with that outcome. Like, just, you know too, but I, like, take Myrtle Beach and multiply it by 100 times all the places I go. How many people get screwed over when they get in a motorcycle accident? You get nothing. Lose a leg, get a check for $1,000, can't work for the rest of their lives. All of this stuff. And you know, it started out that way for them too. They were screwed.
They were screwed. I mean, when we do an investigation, and if you don't have UIM, which he did not, and if you only find one policy, you know, some people would just send a demand and take that policy and end the case. You have to have a law firm that knows how to work these motorcycle cases because they're different. So we decided, hey, let's file suit and sift the defense, or the at-fault people will mess up. That's exactly what happened, and then we were able to have full leverage to get him a great recovery. So
and they know for a fact that if they hadn't hired you, they would be homeless probably right now. And now they're rich. And like Dustin would write $15 million check and send it back if he could be back to his old self. But it's just fantastic to see that outcome after all the tragedy we see. People who don't have insurance, the people who hit them don't have insurance, and you're just screwed. And I've said this before too, you guys will find a way to help those people anyway, negotiate their hospital bills down, even if you don't make any money off it. It's why I love the NAML attorneys. They do things like that aren't just about making money. But this is an ass load of money, and I'm glad, and it's good that it went to them. He's got his dream house. He's gonna be able to take care of his parents who've been fretting. They told me that they were literally down to like their last $200 the day he called them, and told them that, and told them that it was finally a done deal. And you guys could have dragged it out and made a lot more money, but they're not greedy either. They're like, this is good, and this will take care of us. And it's just awesome that they instantly started doing good things with some of that money. And you and I both told them, you need to be careful about who you deal with and make sure that people aren't trying to take advantage of you. And what I literally said to him last night is, Justin has provided you good counsel up till now, right? And they said, yeah. I said, well, now he's giving you his counsel for free. Take it. If he tells you, like, you need to be careful about this or that, listen to him. He's a smart guy, and he obviously loves you guys, and he's going to do whatever he can to help you. And that's a big difference, too. And a lot of these billboard lawyers, they get their check, and you're never going to hear them from again. You're their family now.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, he's part of the crew. I'm gonna be he's got him a new house up in Pennsylvania. I'm gonna go up there and make sure he's taken care of and set up. But yeah, and I've told them I want to be their trusted legal advisor for life. And not just his case. I mean, that's how we take care of our clients. We make sure they're all taken care of. But I wanted to set the bar high for our NAML team. So if any of our NAML guys are watching this, or if they watch it later, they gotta try to get a better result.
I know Jason got a $2 million case the same day, and he's like, damn it, talk about me a little bit. Yeah. That's a big ass case too.
No, he's a great lawyer, awesome lawyer. We send cases back and forth. He gets some clients. He sends some South Carolina referrals. I'll send him Florida referrals. Yeah. So he's a great lawyer, man. Awesome guy.
I said it earlier too, is about the North Carolina thing and that food truck over there where they're really hurting bad, and they're from North Carolina and their restaurant's screwed, their house is messed up. And Dustin went over there and paid $2,000 for nachos. We'd been talking with the guy all day, so we knew he was legit. And he wasn't asking for. In fact, he would not take our money. He was giving me. He's like screwed, and he gave me a pound of brisket and wouldn't take my money. So we were putting money in the tip jar to make up for it. He's feeding Morgan and Emmy and the DJ over there, all of us. I'm like, you need the money, take my money. And he's like, no. So we know he was legit, and he said exactly what I knew he would say, is I'm not using this, I'm going to go feed other people with it. Yeah. And so Dustin's really focused on it, and I know he's going to need your help and mine too, probably, to help find the right people to focus that on, so people aren't taking advantage of them. Yeah. Because they're just awesome guys, and I told him too, like if they're family, if you guys are family now, I feel like I'm family with lovely law firm too. We're all family. Invited me to the housewarming party up there in Pennsylvania too, so hopefully we'll see each other up there. Just after all the tragedy and bullshit we see in the insurance companies and screwing people over, and lawyers that aren't that good, not doing their jobs properly, and people get screwed over, it's nice to see that kind of outcome and success. And I know you have to put that disclaimer that says this does not claim that some legal fees are better than blah, blah, blah. I'm not a lawyer, so I can fucking say it. You're better than all the other lawyers.
I appreciate it. I love praise.
and I say that about all the NAML attorneys, really. I mean, there are different levels, and some are starting out, and some are one-man bands, and then there's the bigger firms like you, because you've helped so many people that the karma has come around and you're successful. Yeah. But it's why I work with them, and the ones who aren't at the level to help like you are, you're there to coach them, I'm there to coach them. I know more about the law and motorcycle accidents in 15 states than I ever wanted to. Yeah. So I can give them advice, and it's obviously I'm not a lawyer, so I'll say call Justin or Jason just to make sure what I'm telling you is true. I'm one of the members. I sent him a video that Jason did about a firefighter lawsuit. I was like, well, you're involved with first responders and workers' comp a lot, so you should get into this. And he said, well, I've never been in a class action lawsuit. And I said, well, I think it's pretty simple. I think you basically sign up the clients, and that's adjudicated. You get your legal fees, and you help them out, and you get your small part of it. And I said, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'll ask Jason. Jason said, yeah, it's kind of like that. You just have to wait. You do all the work, and then 5 years later, you get paid for it. And so he and Michael are going to have a meeting at NAML to talk about how he helps those firefighters and other people in class action lawsuits, because there are going to be a lot of firefighters in Georgia who need that help too. 100%.
We're handling them here locally. That's actually centralized down in Charleston, that whole MDL, and so we're helping firefighters. If you have one of the 6 key injuries, that's what the science supports. It's testicular cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, ulcerative colitis, thyroid cancer, or thyroid disease, and you were a firefighter for at least a year. Yeah. Basically, they were exposed to this aqueous film-forming PFAS-filled foam, and it just seeped in, they absorbed into their bodies. It was already on their suits when they go to train. Then the next shift puts it on. It's just terrible, right? Yeah. And then all these companies knew it was cancer-causing, bioaccumulates. Ridiculous. But no, all our NAML lawyers needs to be helping firefighters in this case.
Yeah, there's the firefighters thing. There's the Camp Lejeune thing. A few years ago it was the earplugs for veterans and all these veterans who lost their hearing because they're.
Yep. We helped several riders here with the 3M and Camp Lejeune, 100% by just meeting grassroots here.
And so the reason it's important for all of our members to get involved in that, in my point of view, is not necessarily the business thing, but I mean that's part of it. It's good for your business to help those people as well. But there are bikers and veterans in Georgia who don't even know about it until you tell them about it. And people make fun of all the Camp Lejeune commercials and stuff, but that's how you get the word out about it. And some of them are kind of smarmy, those national call 1-800-CAMP Lejeune or whatever. You know, call a local lawyer like Justin, but the good thing about that is that people didn't even know maybe that they're eligible till that got put out there.
100%. With when these things pop up, there's limited time windows, statutes of limitations, and so there is always a marketing push. And you know, whether you like the TV ads or not, that's what trial lawyers are trying to do. Get the word out, because once that statute closes, like I had calls yesterday about Camp Lejeune. I can't help you now. Statute ran in August. I mean, think about how terrible that conversation is.
And we did so many posts and social media posts and videos about that to try to get as many people. I was here visiting the American Legion post a few rallies ago, and they were talking about Agent Orange, and I said, that's great, but you need to talk to Justin about Camp Lejeune if you know anybody. And of course there are people from Camp Lejeune here. There's millions of people went through that. And
it's just an hour and a half north. I mean, they relocate down here at the beach.
And so, you know, we got to help those lawyers figure that out so they can help people in their areas too. And that's I mean, we're focused on motorcycles, but having this network of different levels of experience and different expertise to help each other do that. And in my point of view, as a non-lawyer who doesn't get paid when there's a case adjudicated or whatever, it's about helping people, and that's what we just have to make all of our members as strong about helping people as possible. And when you're really good at helping people, your business is going to come along too, right? Because the insurance companies know that Justin Lovely is not to be fucked with. You know, that I see other lawyers across this parking lot, which I'm not going to name. Insurance companies know they can fuck with them. They know they're going to settle as fast as possible, and that's good for their business, but it's not good for you. And I will say that $15 million that you guys got, that was pretty lightning fast for a case that big. So you got a great settlement.
Well, we went all hands on deck. I mean, we had to devote all my energy. Sarah Alston, my #1 senior associate, she devoted all of her energy. My wife-in-law partner and boss, Amy, she dug in. So we had a whole team, my whole paralegal team, up with my best staff on it, and we got it to the finish line. So
That's awesome.
We're so proud to help.
I was in a car accident a year and a half ago, and I'm working with Chris Klotz, and compared to that, it's not peanuts. It's not even peanut dust.
Right.
It's like a $150,000 case, and it's going on for 2 years. You know, that's how it normally drags out if you're going to fight for it and not just take the like minimum thing that they want to give you. And believe me, these insurance companies know who's going to fight with them and who's going to lay down and just get their money as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
And that alone, even if you're not a great lawyer, obviously you're awesome, you're one of the best in the country, but even if you're not a great lawyer, if they know that you're going to fight them, they're going to come back with better money than what you're going to get. It's just like any other negotiation. The first number that either side throws out is not the final number.
Right.
So if the insurance company shows up your hospital bed and writes you a check, tear that thing up, throw it in the trash.
We've had clients that's happened before. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
So the goal with this is a happy ending, and one of the best segments I like about the Biker Dad Show, it's 9 a.m. on Saturdays on Fox here locally. But is you're back on Tuesday, because we want to get a happy ending story. And I know you filmed one that hopefully we're going to get some content of that from yesterday. Not necessarily getting back on two, but it's a happy ending, and that's the goal here.
Well, he's going to get back on some ATVs and other stuff. That
slowly but surely get to where he was
and eventually maybe drive a car. I don't know. That's hopefully they'll take that slowly. But Dustin likes old cars, so he's probably going to. He said, I think I'm going to buy a little piece of land and put a shop on it and just collect cars there, which is more than he has a shitty old Subaru that the back window is covered with stickers, and I love him for this because he's going to keep it and fix it up. Like when he was driving that thing around, he's like, if I can only do this, if I can only afford to get a new window or paint it this color, and he's going to take his shitty old Subaru and fix it up the way he always thought he wished it was when he was riding around. I love that. That's because that's something I would do.
Yeah.
Like if I won the lottery yesterday, I wouldn't get rid of my 15-year-old Dodge Ram out here.
Right.
I wouldn't tell you the one that I won the lottery, but you look at my truck and you'd know I won the lottery.
Yeah. Something happened.
But I love that too, because I would keep all the old stuff I have and just do the things that I wanted to it. And it is a great story. I mean, any good story has to have a conflict, and then clinch that conflict at the beginning of it, have the arc and the question about how it's going to resolve, and then the question is whether that story, and I don't care if you're talking about a fairy tale or a 2-minute segment about the bike week in Myrtle Beach on the news, it's got to have the beginning, middle, and end, and the end is obviously the most important part of it. So not only is you're doing better financially, they were on the brink of losing everything, and now their family's set for generations if they are smart about it. But the first time I talked to him 6 months ago, physically, Dustin, his face was more screwed up than it is now. His eye was all droopy and gimpy. Sorry if that's not politically correct. Now you look at him, you can't tell there's anything wrong with his eye. He's blind, he can't see out of it, but you can't tell that. His arm is a lot more functioning. And even more important to me, to me, and I whispered this to his dad, so I didn't piss him off, but Dustin was angry when I talked to him 6 months ago. He was angry at life. He was angry with his dad. Every time his dad said something, he'd snap at him like he was a 13-year-old. And I'm sure some of that's still happening, but they were getting along better. They were happier. He was smiling. A lot of that anger, and that partly has to do with his recovery. By getting that fat ass check, I'm sure helped put a smile on
100%.
his face too.
100%.
And it's just so awesome to see that. Like, you didn't just help him financially, you helped mend the relationship with his family. They're going to be living in the same house for the rest of his life because he's going to need the help. And they just love each other so much. I just love when we love each other, but we're gonna have our own corners of this new house. And if you want to talk to me, you can send me a text from the bathroom.
I love it.
Don't come knock on my door. And
but they're great.
Awesome.
They're great.
Yeah.
Great client. Great salt of the earth people. Couldn't happen to a better. Couldn't expect a better result. We're so proud. We're so honored to do that.
His mom works in a pharmacy. His dad was a correction officer for decades. And one of the shittiest jobs in the world to do in law enforcement, but he did it to support his family. And all of the stress they've gone through the past 2 years over all of this stuff, to have kind of a reward at the end. And Dustin's just really happy that he gets to take care of his parents. And he told me yesterday, he was like, don't even think that I'm happy that I don't have to work, because I like to work, I want to work. And that's, again, like, he would write a check for $15 million and go back to driving that dump truck and moving dirt, because he was happier in the cab of that truck moving dirt around than anywhere else on the planet. Don't be shocked if you see one day that he bought a piece of land and a bulldozer just to drive it around. And
he has hopes, he has dreams. The whole family does, and they have the opportunity now and the freedom to be able to achieve those dreams.
It's 100% thanks to you guys, because it would not have happened if he hired somebody else. I guarantee you. Again, I don't care what the disclaimer says. There's no way this would happen if he hadn't hired you guys. I mean, there's maybe a 1 in 50,000 chance that it would have. And I see people get screwed by their attorneys. You buy insurance companies all the time. The good attorneys also do what you did and make sure you help them take that money and put it somewhere where they can learn how to manage it. I don't care how smart you are. If you go from having a couple $100 in your bank account to having millions in your bank account, you need help with that.
Right.
And everybody that I work with has partnerships to help them do that and keep them going on down the road. It's not, here's your check, I got my money, see you later, never talk to you again. And I love that too.
Yeah. Well, happy endings are what we were talking about, and that's a good way to tie this thing up. You and I, we could talk for another 2 hours, but you got to hit the road back to Alabama.
And I got to pee. So.
Yeah, you got to go to the bathroom. Guys, this is Justin Lovely law firm, Myrtle Beach, bikerlawyer.com. I was here with Chris Best, Biker Dad. His show, we air locally here at 9 a.m. on local Fox. Tune in to watch it before you watch your college football. Tune in to see the Back on 2 episode. He's going to be getting all this bike week footage, probably put into the next couple weeks. Let you get home and get it resolved and get everything edited up. But if you need us, again, myrtlebeachbikerlawyer.com. We're here at Myrtle Beach Harley-Davidson, the rest of the rally. We're also down at the Beaver Bar on the south end. Come by and get some swag. Chris, I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate everything you guys have ever done. I always tell people you're one of the first people that said, you know, my stupid idea to do this for a living. He wrote me a check and made it possible. And obviously the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers too, and all the lawyers who work with me directly, and also just put all this effort to put good out in the world. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right, like us on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.